it's all scam that you are paying through your noses today. A majority of you have actually really like abandoned your cars. Businesses have suffered so much that many of them have died. People have lost their jobs. Only for Tinubu and his gang, who have created not a single job since they came in, except the political appointment job he's been creating for his own, for his own acolytes. Then they doctored the supposed employment data, remember? From over 60% unemployed Nigerians, they reduced it back to 4.1 or 4.2% unemployed Nigerians, making it look like Nigerians have no unemployment problems anymore. That's the only thing. That's how they solved unemployment problem in Nigeria, by doctoring the data and every other data as well. So if you ask them, where is the money you saved from? They say, no, I mean, it's about money that we didn't spend. You have answers for that, right? Here is another part of that chart with Sowore. Just a quick one.
Dangerous conditions against police, army, including after the protests, children being charged with and for treason. You can't claim that those people are docile. That's my opinion.
So that brings me to the question of how safe the civic space is. I know you're a big player in that space. Yeah. And I know that you've been following up some cases recently. How would you assess this government in its management and response to dissenting voices?
Well, what is sad about it, and that's why people should be careful with when people come into or try to come into political office with fake credentials, snake oil, that we're going through some of the worst attack on civil rights or civil liberty by the same people who claim that they were civil rights activists. The president reportedly left this country, fled this country because he was running away from military dictators. That's Bola Tinubu. The people who are part of his regime claim they used to be part of the National Democratic Coalition, NADECO, and they fought against military. But they have imposed some of the worst human rights abuse on the Nigerian people since they came into power. I just described to you charging children for treason, which has never happened before in this country, not even under military rule. We've seen situations where journalists were attacked during August protests, and some of your journalists were also actually attacked.
Yeah, where we know.
Including in Lagos on live TV. We've seen situations where journalists have been charged for cybercrime, bloggers. People are languishing in jail. We just had a situation with Dele Farotimi, who was arrested and transported across state line to Ekiti to be jailed for writing a book that they said a dispute, which is completely a civil matter. And before you jump on in and say it's a state matter, don't forget that the Federal Attorney General also filed another charge against Dele Farotimi while he was facing the so-called state charge of offensive publication in Ekiti State, which some has disputed doesn't even exist. So we have some bloggers right now who are languishing in detention, and all these detentions we are talking about are carried out by the state. Because whenever you go to the
by
courts...
By what law are they putting them in detention? What are they?
Well, it's usually the cybercrime...
Because I want to put up, if I can have that picture of the cybercrime law, because some provisions of that cybercrime law have been repealed.
Exactly.
So what exactly are they being...
The police just outrightly refuse to accept the repeal of the law.
So if I can get all of this, maybe when they get to that particular session, this was the old law.
Such message, 24.
Yes, this is like the 2015 part. I want to get to hey, it knows to be false for the purpose of annoyance, and see all those words. If my producer can hold this is a annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction. I don't know how this is justiciable anyway. Criminal intimidation, enmity, hatred, ill will, and all of that. So if we go to the next law, if they can show me the next one, 2024, the amended portion, because I know you've been interacting with a lot of these people.
Not just I'm interacting, I'm actually facing cybercrime.
Okay, this is the latest law.
Yes.
It knows to be false for the purpose of causing a breakdown of law and order, posing a threat to life, and causing such message to be sent. The reason, you're also a stakeholder in the Nigerian in the Nigerian state. Yeah. So I'm wondering where, if this is the amended law, if people were charged in the previous one. I know you say you're not a lawyer, but you've been around the law.
No, I'm actually facing cybercrime charges myself currently.
What did you do?
Well, they said Sahara Reporters, which is a publication I founded, wrote a story against the Senator Ned Owoko that he at a point set up a foundation to eradicate mosquito. And Sahara Reporters found out that he wasn't eradicating because we found mosquitoes in his compound in Abuja. So that if you can't eradicate the one in your compound, how are you eradicating on the continent of Africa? So it turns out to be a scam. So I was arrested when I was still under lock and key in Abuja for a different offense, which was treason that you know about, and charged before a federal high court in Abuja, Justice Nwite, for annoying him. Same rubbish, you see. But
how do you prove annoyance in court?
Exactly.
I'm just curious.
In fact, as at now, we've appeared almost 5 times. They haven't been able to charge me. You know, like,
you know what?
In the sense that I will appear and we'll say, look, you haven't fulfilled any of these conditions.
Already, the reason
but they have, what I wanted to say, which is important, is that that portion has been expunged from the cyber.
It's been repealed, yes.
It's been repealed. But in my own case, they argue that...
Or amended, sorry, the word is amended now.
Whichever way you want to put it. They argue in my own case that it applies to me because I was charged before the amendment. But what happens to people who were charged after the amendment is the conversation you and I are having here. Why are you still arresting people and charging them because they annoy individuals? You cause them because they don't apply anymore. And what we are saying, for those of us who are carpenters, because that's how lawyers refer to non-lawyers, is that, you know, busybody non-lawyers like me, is that there are civil provisions for libel, defamation, and slander out there. So take that route. And if you can prove your case, you get damages paid to you. So that's how it is done world over. But most importantly, if you are a public official, if you have offered yourself for public, it is very difficult to prove libel.
So
even in advanced society.
So let's balance because you wanted to be president, and I don't know whether you still want to be president. Someday somebody is going to speak against you if you occupy that office somehow. How do we balance the issue of rights and responsibility? Because we need to balance that.
No, see, if you are going to be president of any country in the world, even if it's a banana republic, your least worry should be what the citizens say to you or say about you. For my 24 years in the US, I watch late night shows, which you are aware of. There's nothing else they do on the late night shows and ridicule their leaders. They ridicule what they are wearing, how they speak, what they have said. If you go to supermarkets in the US, they have a section dedicated to tabloids. The headlines are plainly false. You know, they will show you a picture of Obama and his wife and say that both of them are male. And everybody knows Michelle is female, right? They still even do it on Twitter till yesterday. So if you are president and that's what you want to do, you are not prepared for the presidency. So you don't, as president, go after irrelevancies. So I'm not going to, even as it...
Except in that contraption. Because they are like little men with big egos, you know, and they are like, little men, you know, people who actually really cry. Oh, they are abusing me on social media. Do you know who you are talking to? How dare you talk to me like that? Do you know that I can make you go missing? You know, I can lock you up and throw the keys away. Little men with power. They are more concerned about what people say about them. That is why, because they have been so used to praise singers, ass lickers, crumb eaters, crumb chasers, those who tell them that they are doing well, like they did with Bokwari for 8 years. That seems like years ago. I mean, this same street, everyone was saying that Bokwari was the best thing that happened to Nigeria after sliced bread. Ass lickers. While Bokwari and his gang were looting Nigeria, destroying Nigeria, every headline out there was practically defending Bokwari and lying to people. People were not feeling, people were actually feeling the negativity of Bokwari's policies. But they are telling them that if you profess that, or if you come out to say things are tough or hard, or Bokwari has failed, then you'll be charged for cyberbullying. it is only in Nigeria that I have seen supposed powerful people in government, whose ego believed to have been bruised, have come out to say they are being bullied online. And then they wanted the DSS, the same DSS that cannot track down terrorists that are kidnapping Nigeria or rescuing the Nigerians that have been kidnapped by different terrorists. The same DSS that couldn't. The same DSS will track every Nigerian down within hours for whatever they posted on social media against these unscrupulous, low-life criminals, little men, weak men and women, right? Who are not supposed to have anything to do with public office. And today, they have the population of, scared people, scared population, where if you say something online, you are expected to be tracked down and locked up to the point that the judiciary, the compromised judiciary, also working in cahoot with these rogues. They are ready to also sentence you, send you to jail, lock you up for months, just because somebody's ego, somebody's somebody's feelings got hot, or somebody's heart got hot somehow. So this is what you have in that contraption, because they are used to being praised. Well done, sir. God bless you. Thank you so much, sir, for the job you are doing. And everywhere they go, they walk like, and when they speak as if to say, sometimes I do ask myself, why is he talking like that? Like, why is he talking like, is that how he talks? I say, that's how I... more or less like they feel like they are doing you a very big favor for being your governor, for being your senator, for being a public office holder in that contraption. In the face of monumental failure, they wanted to be respected and revered. Bunch of low lives, people who should never have any reason to be closer to power. And that is why you see a lot of people, right? They will be expecting something bad to happen to whoever kind of speaks up or try to challenge them. Many times they have actually wanted this Sowore to be shot and killed, lock him up and jail him. And say, what did he do? They say because he said something about the failing Bokwari, or he's saying something about this drug addict, Tinubu. While the real business of governance, the real reason why they killed people to take over power, well, I wouldn't know, maybe that's the main reason, because you can't kill people to take over power if your intention is to come and serve them. If you intended to serve people, that means you will let the people choose you. But if you have to go as far as compromising institutions, bribing your ways, and even killing people to ascend a throne, that simply means that you are not doing it because you want to serve them, right? So here is the final part of that chart. I want it on record too, okay? Sowore still talking about the state of Nigeria. Quickly.
For the presidency. So you don't, as president, go after irrelevancies. So I'm not going to, even as it is now, I get attacked, ridiculed, just as a public figure. I've never sued anybody for it before. People have lied outrightly against me. I'm not going to be running to court and try to get you to answer to charges when I know that I can simply, by disputing it, provide evidence, show that I'm not the person you are talking about. Those things don't apply to me. But even as that, I'm a private citizen. So if I'm president and I'm going to worry about what you say about me, what did I hire the assistants to speak for me for?
Are you going to run again for office?
That is not the conversation we came here for.
Yes. I'm just asking. Just as an aside.
I'm just saying that the reason I'm saying that is I'm not trying to escape an answer to your question. Is that I'm one of the candidates. I'm not a 4-year, electoral candidate. I run all the time, both physically and I run on issues. So if I'm going to make that decision, of course, I'll let you know.
Okay, let's talk about election and electoral reform.
Yes.
We haven't seen the electoral reform agenda of this administration. If you were to put it forward to them, so for instance, Muhammadu Buhari was able to put out the issue of not too young to run. So we have the ages dropped for certain people to start running into run offices. There are things people expect to happen in terms of maybe IREV and the management of our election? What exactly would you like to see in the reform? Because constitutional amendment is taking place.
The problem is that we're expecting the people who want to benefit from this electoral malfeasance reforming the electoral process. It's not going to happen. They have told you the electoral reforms. They have already shown you are the one who have not seen it yet. They've already populated INEC with APC members, card carrier members.
You have evidence of that?
Of course, I do. And you do too. They've already...
No, you're telling me.
Yes. They've already appointed 11 Supreme Court justices under the Tinubu regime. I have evidence of that. You do too. You may claim that, well, they are qualified to be elevated, but most Nigerians didn't know all these things, and these are the people who will determine the next election. So they have kept INEC under their own control. But if you don't know, just check the off-season elections they did recently, how they went. So if anybody is out there expecting to see a different electoral reform process, well, I have a bridge to start.
So are you saying that by your claims now we should just lift our hands and give up?
No,
because
we shouldn't.
We can't.
No, we shouldn't. And that's what I always tell people. Is the reason why I tell people who always come after election to cry that the best time to fight is before elections, because you should force the hand of the state and the operators of the electoral system to be clear about what you want to see in an election. If you don't, and the next time we see you is after election, and you say, well, you're keeping an eye on the judiciary, I'm sorry for your eyes, because you're looking directly in the sun. You might end up with conjunctivitis.
So if we want to start that process you talked about now, where do we start from?
We have to be very clear about this demand, be united about it, and force the hand of the government through protests, through all kinds of means, because you're not going to get what you need by appealing to them. It's not going to work. They have shown very clearly that they're impervious to public pressure. So, because the reason is what I stated earlier. They used to be in charge of pressurizing the government. So it's difficult to deal with characters who know the game without changing the players and changing the game too.
So, on a maybe final note, or one more before the final note, yes. The government is saying that because of the End Bad Governance protest, yes, which you were actively part of, lending your voice and all of that, they are putting together a national youth conference this year. The president said it in his message, I think the New Year message or so. What do you expect to come out of those kind of conferences? What do you think is the agenda at the end of the day?
The agenda is to compensate some young people who are in their corner. You know, it's just like saying that the Nigerian government is relating with the National Association of Nigerian Students, and you expect the students to be represented at such table, when the people who are NANS leader today mostly are not even students. They are students without institutions. So these young people they are calling to a conference are probably Sheyi Tinubu's friends, not Nigerian youths, because they cannot afford to have the real youth on the table.
If they invite you, would you be there?
No, I'm no longer a youth. I might be youthful.
So you represent the youths. Well, you're a mid generation. You're in between the youths and the elders.
If I'm invited, I will not go. So let's just be clear about that, because I know in advance that this is a joke. And this is the same thing I said about the conference that Obasanjo held. The same thing with Jonathan's conference. So if nothing came out of those conferences, because they've been pre-planned to fail, nothing will come out of this. But, you know, they want young people to feel like, oh, they belong. So you come to a national youth conference, of course, they will get it live streamed, you know, they will get them compensated. And at the end of it, nothing will come out of it. If youth want to take over power in this country, they don't need a youth conference. They need to bond together and take power.
I think the very first time I saw you on TV, on video, was, I think, on 1993, 1994. Yes. During the time of MK Abiola. You've been around for a long time.
I have been.
So what is Nigeria missing? Because it feels like there's nothing that is going on that is really working, you know, in your books. What is really working? It's like everything has collapsed in your book.
If something was going on, you would know. You know, like you mentioned, 1993 was the first time you saw me, but that's not the first time I started. I started in 1989, when I was about 18 years old. You know, when you saw me in 1993, you know, on the lighter side, John Momo was a reporter. Now he's probably a stay-at-home granddad. That's how long we've been at this struggle, some 35 years ago, thereabout. But the point to be made is that you also have to call on the youths to also define what they want. Any society in the world where young people are more comfortable with becoming special assistants and advisors to those in power. And when they see young people in other parts of the world taking over power, they praise it. But when it comes to their own country, they prefer old grandfathers or the people we call their ancestors. That society is not likely to move anywhere in the direction of progress anytime soon, because youth comes with energy. That is why there's a retirement age for civil servants. So we've reached a level where we started with young people, the people that brought about independence in Nigeria. In fact, the first political party in Nigeria was called the National Youth Party or something like that, Babat, Macaulay, and the rest of them. The people who fought for independence were in their 20s, governors 23 years old, Obasanjo then when they became president at first were 30s, Buhari when he was first president was 42. But now, in 2025, you don't even know the age of your president. Is that old?
Okay. There's a lot to unpack. By the way, my boss, John Momo, is still active. He's not. He
doesn't do street reporting anymore.
No, he has lots to do.
Sowore, will always be Sowore. So they are organizing what they call the National Youth Conference. And as you must know, it is never going to be about the youth. Nigeria is a place where the young people will prefer to be SA, PA, spokesperson for the octogenarian, septuagenarian criminals in power. Indeed, they praise, of course, they praise young people in position of leadership all over the world. Oh, that's the Burkina Faso head of state, Ibrahim Traore, is only 36. Wow. Oh, the president of Senegal is only 42. Wow. But in the contraption, you will see some of them who claim to be students, leaders, students without any institutions, or like they do not have any institution whatsoever, you know? So Sowore is very clear, even though sometimes I kind of like taken aback, because I remember that Sowore was a guest on Mayegun's Diary Politico a while back. This was before the 2023 charade. And I categorically asked him that same question that Chamberlain asked him. And that was that, are you still going to run or contest for presidency again in 2023? And he categorically here said no. That it is better that whatever is going to happen in that contraption should happen before any election. Fortunately, that changed. And I won't forget, he told us here that, PVC is not, what do you call it? It's not personal voters card. What do you call that thing again? PVC. Because the only thing I remember since that day is that your PVC is poverty validation card. And it was because Sowore said that here. But he is right. I have said similar thing on this platform, saying, if you are waiting for 2027, to change Tinubu or challenge them, you are just going to participate in a done deal. Your participation is called, you are going to get the participation trophy, okay? Go and get your card, go and get your this or that, and then you come back later and said you have been rigged out. What you are going to participate in is just to validate the exercise. Tinubu and his gang, they control the judiciary. He has appointed the member of his political party as INEC officials across. And if you are in doubt, take a look at all of their recent off-season elections. This is what you would expect. You will see, even worse in 2027. So if there's anything at all that should take place, I think I have also proposed that on this platform. The likes of Peter Obi, Atifku, and even this Sowore, they should lead their supporters, the millions of them, to picket the government National Assembly, picket the INEC office, and demand that not only should Yakubu be sacked, every INEC commissioner, returning officer across the 36 states of Nigeria must be sacked and also probed. The National Assembly, at least for those of you who want to participate in their charade, sure you get. So it simply means that you should force the hands of the National Assembly to actually roll out a different, brand new electoral reform. Something that if they don't do that, there will be no election.